So the Heihachi trailer for Tekken 8. It revealed to us that not only did Heihachi not perish at the end of Tekken 7, but apparently he's been thriving up in a fancy new dojo in the mountains. While this does raise interesting questions, like how does Reina tie into this? Obviously, it's possible that that's where she learned the Mishima style from, up in that mountain dojo. Will Kazuya or Jin be able to beat Heihachi now that they've lost their devil forms? Jin has done it before, but Kazuya has never beaten Heihachi without the assistance of a devil form. And something tells me that's not going to change anytime soon. But the real question that this trailer raised to me was, has anyone ever died in Tekken? Now, the answer to that might seem obvious, like of course people have. But unfortunately, no, it is not that simple at all. So let's go back to the beginning, before Heihachi is dead became an iconic lie told over and over again. Tekken 1, Kazuya defeats Heihachi and throws him off a cliff, presumably killing him, only in Tekken 2 to find out that Heihachi has instead been training in the woods for 2 years and now is ready to reclaim the Zaibatsu from Kazuya. So that is the first Heihachi death false flag. This latest one, him training up in the mountains for an undetermined amount of time, seems very similar to me. But alright, Tekken 2. Heihachi defeats Kazuya in his devil form and then throws him into a volcano. The difference between this and the Tekken 7 one is that Heihachi did not stay to make sure Kazuya fell into the lava. He didn't watch it happen. We, of course, later learn that Kazuya did not die. Instead, he was salvaged by G Corporation. So that is the second prominent death fake in the series. Tekken 3. This is the one that does the time jump that lets you know that Jun and Kazuya had a son, Jin, of course. And this new tournament is to seek out Jun's murderer, Ogre, with the real goal being Heihachi trying to secure samples of Ogre for science purposes. Now, in Tekken 8, we learn that Jun did not die. Instead, she got sleepy and went to bed in a tree. So that is prominent death fake out number 3. But at least she had some foreshadowing with her appearances in the Tekken Tag tournament games. But she's not the only death in Tekken 3. The original king was attacked and supposedly killed by Ogre. Eddie Gordo's father was supposedly killed by Kazuya, but at this point, that is not revealed. It just says it was an organization. This was before G-Corp was introduced as a concept. And the original Kuma apparently died of old age as well. The final boss of the game, Ogre, you do see evaporate after Jin defeats him, so that is presumably a death as well. But we're going to come back to these later after we talk about each of the games individually. Tekken 4 introduces Marduk, who allegedly killed Armor King, the original. Later in Tekken 6, we find out that apparently Armor King had a brother that also dressed up as Armor King. They just didn't tell anyone about it, or the fact that they had a sibling for some reason. To figure out what's really going on, Marduk digs up Armor King's grave. By the look on his face, it's supposed to imply that he's looking at the body of the original Armor King. That's why he turns and says, "Then who are you?" to the other Armor King. Tekken 5, we are introduced to Jinpachi, the patriarch of the Mishima family, that was presumed to have been killed by Heihachi decades earlier. Now, at the time, it was presumed that maybe Jinpachi had the devil gene, and that it just skipped a generation, but later it's changed to just being some kind of dark spirit that possesses Jinpachi. What that means, we don't know. Did little kid Kazuya wander down to the basement one day and transfer some of his devil power to Grandpa Jinpachi? Did Azazel make a stop by Hanmaru for some reason to give a little bit of devil juice to Jinpachi? They don't say. But upon defeating Jinpachi, he seemingly evaporates into dust and is killed off. This, of course, is the same game that introduces the line, Heihachi Mishima is dead, with Raven watching the destruction of Hanmaru and proclaiming it. The difference being that the carrot on the stick was paid off within this same game, when the player eventually unlocks Heihachi and finds out that the explosion just threw him very far, and he just needed a little bit of time to recover. Now, the Devil Within mode is very curious. This mode is often overlooked and forgotten about, but it did introduce some interesting things. One, it introduced the concept of cloning. There are 3 fully grown Heihachi clones in that mode. Not only that, but it marks the return of Ogre, and the revelation that Ogre was not some type of Aztec god, but actually was an alien. Now, there is the presumption that this was a different Ogre, but there is not actually any proof of that. There is nothing stopping Harada from doing a future Tekken game where aliens are the antagonists, and it turns out that every time Ogre has been thought to be dead, he was actually just beaming back up to the mothership. That's not him dying in front of Jin here, that's him teleporting back to his ship. Sidebar here though, I kind of wish they had put this Super Ogre as an actual boss you could fight against in some capacity, not with the Devil Within controls. Like how Tekken 6 took it too far and let you fight against Nancy and Azazel, let's go one step further. Let's take it way too far and let you fight against this thing. Tekken 6. This is the one where we get introduced to Lars Alexanderson and Alyssa Boskanovich. Now, it was kind of implied that Brian Fury had killed Dr. Boskanovich at some point, and that's why Yoshimitsu is always after him. But that's not actually confirmed. In fact, apparently after the events of Tekken 6, he is the one that removed the blind loyalty that Alyssa had in her towards Jin. This is also the game where apparently Wang dies to Azazel. The only problem with that is that Wang is not at that temple in the story mode, and has no idea where that temple is or any means to get there. So in all likelihood, he did not fight and die to Azazel. The other prominent death, of course, is Azazel's, being taken down by Jin Kazama, but we later find out in Tekken 8 that he was also fine. Tekken 7. This is the one that introduces Kazumi, the wife of Heihachi that Heihachi supposedly killed with his own hands, and also is the one where Heihachi falls into the lava. Not only that, but it shows the camera angle that implies that Kazuya is watching him burn in the lava, but apparently not. Maybe Kazuya just tossed him off the edge, he fell out of view, and then Kazuya was just staring at lava, with no Heihachi burning when he said those lines. Then in Tekken 8, during the arena scene, there appears to be 3 casualties. The first being Zafina, the second being Claudio, and the third being Azazel again. And the fact that one of these 3 has already come back from the dead, and they're being killed by a guy that has also already come back from the dead, should show that there's a high possibility that none of their deaths will stick. And in fact, Claudio and Zafina, if not Azazel too, might come back in Tekken 9. So we have 3 categories here: confirmed alive, plausible deniability, and retcon prone. Confirmed alive are the characters that at one point in time were said to be dead and are no longer. Plausible deniability are characters said to be dead or implied to be dead that could easily be hand-waved off as being alive, and retcon prone are characters that are said to be dead but could easily be brought back with any number of retcons. I'll give you an example. What if the original king wasn't actually killed? Ogre's an alien after all. What if his goal was not to go around killing the best fighters on the planet? What if he was actually just trying to subdue them so he could abduct them back up to the mothership? If a future Tekken game uses the concept of aliens more heavily, they might just say the original king's been in stasis in the mothership this whole time. The original Kuma could be up there too. We presumed he died of old age, but no, he could have just been abducted by aliens. Eddie's dad, aliens. He's in the mothership. Or maybe he's actually in cryosleep in G-Corp somewhere. Azazel, well, he just reformed after Kazuya lost his devil powers. Jinpachi turned to dust? Maybe that was a clone of Jinpachi. There was clones of Heihachi in the same game. Or maybe Jinpachi can just turn to dust, and that was the first time he did it, and then he reformed somewhere else. Or maybe they'll just clone a new Jinpachi, one that doesn't have devil juice in him. What if that devil Jinpachi was actually a G-Corp experiment, where they cloned Jinpachi, and they had Kazuya's devil gene on file as well, and they just combined the two? You know, this is reminding me of a very specific scene in Kung Pao Enter the Fist, and that specific scene is currently how I'm feeling about Armor King.
If you're all alive, then surely Wimp Low. Oh.
But you never know. Even that can be retconned. There's the whole bit of him, like, coughing up blood in King's Tekken 3 ending, implying that he was gonna be dead by the time you get to Tekken 4, or at least that he was actively dying. But you never know. What if he goes and signs up to be a test subject for G-Corp, so they can cure whatever disease he has? And in response, they clone him and fake his death and put him in cryosleep or something. Or maybe that actually wasn't a body in that grave that Marduk was looking at, and the original Armor King's actually up in the mothership too. But at the end of the day, what I am getting at here is that no, nobody is dead in Tekken, and nobody will ever die in Tekken. This has consistently been the way they have surprised audiences from the beginning. From the very first installment. You think Kazuya kills Heihachi? Joke's on you, Heihachi's alive. You think Heihachi killed Kazuya? Joke's on you, Kazuya's alive. You think Ogre killed Jun? Joke's on you, Jun's alive. And so on and so forth. It has been the same pattern forever. So no, from now on, I refuse to believe anyone ever has died or ever will die in Tekken. Kazumi's alive, Jinpachi's alive, everyone's alive. Even Armor King. They're just waiting to become DLC. But alright, that's it. That's all I had to say. Thanks for watching.